Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My pleasure to speak on this, the Insurance Prudential Supervision Amendment Bill. And I think it's good to see widespread agreement across the House in support of this bill. Well, we haven't heard from the Greens or New Zealand First yet, but this is an area, insurance, which is of great concern to many households in the country. At the moment, second only, I suppose, to local body rates, which are always going up rapidly. Insurance costs have been rising considerably in the last few years as a result of the Canterbury earthquakes. When those earthquakes struck, all New Zealanders did have to ultimately face a higher price for their insurance as the industry recalibrated its assessment of risk in New Zealand, and as we have been forcibly reminded how we live in these shaky isles. So it's very important for building a more competitive and productive economy, which is indeed very much the goal, one of the key goals of this government, that we make sure that we have a well-functioning and efficient insurance sector. And that was indeed the purpose of the Insurance Prudential Supervision Amendment Bill, which was passed in Amendment Act, which was passed in 2010, and one consequential amendment of the Reserve Bank Act in '89. And all in all, that piece of legislation has proven to be very effective and robust. But it's not unexpected that there would be one or two provisions that would be in line for some reform 2 or 3 years out, and that indeed is the purpose of this bill, which is really to tweak a few matters that had become requiring some attention further down the line. So the Act establishes a licensing and prudential regulation regime for all insurers, and all insurers are to be licensed and supervised by the Reserve Bank and must comply with prudential requirements. Now, some of these reforms in the amendment bill ensure that the provisions in the current Act do not expose insurers or the Reserve Bank to operational complications at the end of the transition period. And so one reform relates to the interim financial reporting that is prepared in accordance with NZ GAAP requirements. Proposed amendments allows the Reserve Bank to specify another basis for reporting by overseas insurers, so they're not having to be running two different sets of accounts in a very complicated manner in order to deal with their regulatory requirements here. Now, I'd just like to thank all members of the Finance and Expenditure Committee who worked very hard on this bill and received 4 submissions. The number wasn't great, but the overall interest in the bill was substantial, and we heard from 2 submitters directly recommending a change to the provision of interim financial information requirements. And so the committee recommends extending the period by which interim financial information must be reported to the Reserve Bank from 3 to 4 months. I remember one of the submitters had suggested 5 months, but I think they all agreed that going to 4 months made sense, as it would align with the time frame for annual reporting recommended by the Commerce Committee in the Financial Reporting Bill. The other reform relates to the extension of the term of provisional licences of insurers that enter into insolvency procedures before the 7th of September. And so all in all, I thank members of the committee and for the officials that worked very hard on this bill, and I have no doubt that when passed it will add some greater assurance to the sector, and in the hope that what is proving to be a difficult sector in New Zealand and in the economy over the next few years, as we come to terms with the complications and the consequences of the Canterbury earthquakes, that this legislation will serve us well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Call Dr. David Clark.
Mr. Speaker, well,